Hey guys, Char5 here, and today we're doing another SpeedPaint discussion video. Today we're going to be doing yet another donation drawing. This was for someone that donated. When did she donate? She didn't donate too long ago. I think it was during like the last few days of Extra Life that we were doing. And she is probably one of the biggest Star Wars fans I've ever met. And she's also a huge part of the community. There was a joke that we came up with a long time ago. Well, it wasn't so much that we came up with it, but when we went to a convention, my friends and I, we saw this one video, this one animation, and it was of Link. It was a parody of, like, I think Ocarina of Time, where like a lot of people use sidestepping to traverse through areas because it's just faster. And you know how Link is always so he would just like listen to that on loop nonstop and would make us laugh every single time. So eventually we got to playing Pokemon also during that convention, and we just started nicknaming any Pokemon we caught like Heat Hoot Skiat, because that was what we could glean from that from that sound effect. And since there was already a Pokemon named Heat Hoot, it was like, oh, Heat Hoot Skiat, like the Heat Hoot Skiat is just a Heat Hoot. And there was someone there, like when we started streaming, who really liked owls. So she was like, oh, I love owls. Noctowl's my favorite Pokemon. So like we just started calling her Heat Hoot Skiat, and that she adopted the name, and it's stuck. And it's great. I love it. But she also really loves Star Wars. So when it came time to ask her what she wanted me to draw, she said she wanted me to draw her favorite character, General Grievous, and Heat Hoot Skiat. Like, she didn't even say Noctowl. She said Heat Hoot Skiat. So I was like, you know what? Okay, got it. So it was a combination of both worlds to me, and it was like, okay, well, it's too. I've drawn Noctowl before for another stream where it was just like I was just sketching, so I kind of knew how to draw Noctowl, though I still needed a reference for it. Grievous was what really gave me issues, though, because I'd never drawn him before, and I'm not really good. I love drawing metallic stuff, but I'm not good with like drawing machines and robots. So it was very interesting to do this. What was the subject for today? Oh, right, okay. Staying motivated. Staying motivated to draw, it's hard. Because, I mentioned this because I've been there. I've been where a lot of artists have been, and unfortunately, with something I do way too much. Like, I do this way too much. I compare my stuff to other people's stuff. When it comes to art, mostly. When it comes to animations, when it comes to, you know, stuff that I love doing and that I want to be great at. And I feel like that same applies to anybody, you know, like something you want to be great at, you end up comparing what you do to everyone else's stuff. And it's not a bad thing per se, but it can also hinder the way you look at your own art, and I feel like that's where the main issue lies. Like, the moment it starts affecting how you view yourself as a person, and your worth as a person, that's where it comes into play, and it's a really bad thing, because... And I mean, I can sound like a hypocrite for saying this, because I've done it before, and I know that I shouldn't have, but you do get discouraged by looking at your own art, looking at someone else that you admire, and you're just like, ah, man, why isn't my art as good as this other person's? And I mean, it will be one day. Like, that's the only thing you can tell yourself. Like, oh man, one day it will be, and I just gotta keep trying. I gotta keep making sure that I draw and make sure that you have a goal in mind. You know, if there's an artist that you look up to, and all you can think is, man, I want to draw like this person, and I'm not gonna stop until my art looks like this other artist's, you know, stuff. You know, like, first of all, develop your style. Like, you don't want to just be a copycat, but give it time. You know, like, I can say all the cliche lines ever, like Rome wasn't built in a day, but it's true, you know, you won't be like a super artist just from one day to another. It takes time. You need to learn how to do things. It's funny because sometimes there are times where I've stopped drawing for like months, and then when I get back to drawing, I'm just like, oh my god, how did I get better? You know, how did I get better if I haven't been practicing? And I feel like that's a part of it, you know, it's a part of the process. You weren't good back then, but you're somehow better now, you know, like it just took time. It's like it was baking inside, like you're a stove and your skill is baking inside of you. Like, it's a really weird analogy, but I feel like it's kind of accurate. And a lot of people could say that I'm wrong, you know, like, oh, that's bullshit, you know, you couldn't have gotten better if you weren't practicing. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I can argue it. That's how it happened. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm gonna stop drawing, and no, because I know that realistically, it's because I was practicing at one point to begin with. And a lot of people, myself included, have gotten discouraged, you know, when they see, well, you know, damn it, people don't think my art is good enough, and therefore, like, I'm just gonna stop it because what's the point? It's like, that's not the way to go about it. To me, it's kind of it's really weird to mention this, but it's kind of like a vindictive thing, and it's more vindictive towards yourself too. Like, you want to prove that you want to prove to whoever said that your art wasn't worth it, or, you know, if your art didn't get chosen for something, you want to prove to them, like, consciously you want to prove to them, hey, my art is worth it. But at the end of the day, you're just proving it to yourself, you know, like, it's not about them. At the end of the day, it's about you. It's about your skills as an artist. So don't get discouraged. Keep drawing. Keep, you know, if it sucks, even if you don't like it, you're still learning something. And again, that feeds into previous, you know, discussions, like, draw outside of your comfort zone. If you end up hating what you draw, that's okay. You learned something, hopefully. You learned, hey, you know what? This sucks because I did this. Or this sucks because I didn't do that, you know? So that I feel like a lot of those things, bittersweet as they may be, they're all inspirations for you to, not inspirations, well, yeah, inspirations, but more so motivations to keep you drawing. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. Sorry for that swath of silence that where you guys just didn't hear anything. But keeping yourself, and I feel like this doesn't just apply to art. I feel like this also applies to any form of, well, I mean, okay, any form of art or any job that you're doing as well. Like, a lot of people could be working their passion job, and just getting burnt out because they're doing the same thing over and over again and not seeing any results, or, you know, my thing isn't as good as anyone else's. That's where you kind of have to lower the bar. You kind of have to tell yourself, you know what, okay, even if it's not like better or the best or whatever, it's still an effort that you're putting into it. You have to consciously tell yourself, hey, I'm not this artist. You know, I'm not this person that I look up to, so I can't expect myself to be like them or have their abilities, because it's just not realistic. Sure, you want to be more like them, and again, someday you will be, but you have to work hard at it. You have to, and it's not even about working hard, it's about working a lot, you know? Because I can say, like, oh yeah, the more you try, the more it'll happen. It's like, that's not entirely true. It's not about working hard, it's about working more. In this case, it's more about quantity and less about quality, because, well, okay, quality is a big thing too, but the more you work, the better your quality will be. Someone said, and I think about this all the time and about how true it is, no one gets better at art. You get faster at art, you know? And the reason I think that's so true is because, yeah, in terms of what I know how to do, I'm doing the same thing every time. I'm just doing it faster because now I know. I learned something, and that's allowed me to do faster. So it's allowed me to work on other things. Like, okay, I can do this, no problem. I have the time. So I'm gonna try and work on this, you know. And yeah, okay, you do get better at it, but you know what I mean, you know. I mean that you get better because you get faster. You get faster first, then you get better, and that applies to, again, not just art, but anything. I feel like when it comes to my video editing, that's been a huge case. I'm always looking on ways to how to optimize my time editing videos. And as a result, you learn a lot. You know, like, oh man, how do I do this? You can look it up online, and you find it, and it's like, okay, well now I've committed it to memory, and now it's just stuck there. It's emblazoned in my brain, and that's gonna be stuck there forever. And now I know how to do it every time, so I don't need to look it up again. And as a result, I'm faster, so I can worry about other things within the design process, or within the editing process, or the drawing process, whatever. You know, you now have more time to focus on other areas that ultimately are just going to make you better. And it's so hard. It is incredibly hard to stay motivated when you don't see progress. And I know that that's a fact for me when it comes to a lot of projects. You know, I'm always telling myself, you know, you're gonna finish this, you're gonna do it, and then I look at it, it's like, I've been doing this for 3 months, and I have a rough outline of it, and I've done nothing, basically. But something else I like to say is, even if you do, like, for example, say that you're drawing something for like a huge project. If you draw one line, that's one line you didn't have before. So either way, it may not look like it. It may not look like much, but you're making progress. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you want to stay motivated. No, any amount of work you do is progress. It may not feel like it, but it is. And that's something that you have to keep in mind so as to not get like unmotivated, demotivated. Because a lack of motivation will just hinder progress completely. You won't want to do it, so you won't do it. And if not doing it means, you know, you're probably going to end up unhappy. But you should never look at it from that angle. You should never look at it from, I'm never going to get better, or, man, I'm never going to finish this. Shut up. Yes, you will. Because I believe in you. I think you can do it. And I think you can get better, too. Because no one started out perfectly. There was something that my cousin said to me, like, back when I lived in Mexico, and I thought it was, like, to this day, I think about it as, like, that is, like, some really rude shit to say, but, like, I mean, I know that you didn't mean it that way, but it still sounds really rude. I found a binder with my old drawings, and there was a drawing that I did when I was, like, I don't know, 4 or 5. And it was like it was an awful like portrait of me. Like I'm so narcissistic. I've been drawing myself since I was 5, you know, that kind of thing. So I found that, and in 2014, I found it in 2014, and then like, because it was just like a really small drawing, there was like a bunch of space left. I drew myself, like with the abilities that I had then. And so she saw it and she was like, "Oh wow, wait, you drew the one on the left too?" I was like, "Yeah, I drew that when I was like 5 or something." And she was like, "Oh, so there's hope for my daughters yet." And it's like, okay, I know you didn't mean that to sound rude, but like, you're saying that my drawing was shitty, and I mean it is, but like you kind of don't say that. You know, it just felt that way. But you know, she had a point. You know, like I fucking sucked when I was 5. Everyone. Like, okay, I don't want to generalize because I know that there are freaking prodigies out there, but a lot of people suck when they're 5 when it comes to like art. So like, of course I got better. Of course they can get better. Anyone can get better. They just have to they have to dedicate their time to it. They have to want it. They have to love it. So yeah, and like for example here, I love this background. Like, it's so simple. It's applying stuff that I've learned, you know, throughout drawing my own drawings and looking at drawings online and like looking at tutorials online. I learned how to do it, and I'm like, it's so simple. I did practically nothing, but I'm setting a scene, and I like the colors. I think the colors go in tune with like the greens that I added for Grievous, the browns of Noctowl, even the blues for the other lightsaber, which I really like the lighting that I used for it. This is the final result, you know, and that's what I'm talking about. Keep yourself motivated. When I saw how simple the background was, when I saw it, I was like, wow, I'm actually proud of this. I'm actually proud of a background I made. How? You know, so chin up, smile, chin up, smile, practice. You will get better. I believe in you. Next time we meet, we're going to be talking about something else. Don't know what I'm going to be talking about, but until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope you feel motivated to keep drawing, draw something. And hey, you know what? Send me your drawings. Send me shots of your drawings at my Twitter, or I don't know, whatever. I'll be glad to like look at them and share them with the world. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and stay awesome. This is Char5, signing off.